Hey, Tim Sykes here, and I wanted to do a video lesson on my last few plays. I'm sorry I couldn't do anything sooner. I'm literally just overwhelmed. There are so many plays right now. I'm really happy that there's so many plays, and so many students are banking. I'm just thoroughly overwhelmed, and it's a good problem to have, but it is a problem. So I don't want you to think I'm neglecting you. I just want you to understand that I'm focused on these plays. So many of you have reached out. But I can't, I can't message everyone back. Like right when I'm like trying to do a video or trying to like talk to students, another play pops up. And this is an awesome market. Okay. This is why I'm so proud of this weekend newsletter. It's not just, over the weekend, as you know, like sometimes I'm playing, plays midweek, because the whole point of this newsletter is that can you profit from inefficiencies in the stock market, where the stock market is closed over the weekend and the stock market is closed at night. And in this video I'm going to go over a few examples where I'm trying to find plays that can spike the next day. Some of you guys have XGPT, which I highly recommend. It comes out with like a watch list every day of different potential plays for the next day. This was an alert just a few days ago. XGPT, in case you don't know, I'll link XGPT below, because I really think like the more tools, the more indicators you have, the better your odds for finding the best play. But this was XGPT they send out an alert or a watch list every day at 3:15 p.m. Eastern. And on May 29th, they were talking about how SMMT was the best. SMMT, like it was already up a little bit, but it was down a little off the high. So that, really fits XGPT pretty well. And they alerted here just around 3. And what XGPT does, I really want to be clear about this because I'm getting a lot of questions. XGPT puts out signals for the next day. It's not like, oh, buy right away. It's like watch for a key price and then potentially buy and potentially sell based on that key price. So it's much more of a watch list type tool, watch list addition type tool, which I think is really useful. Some people are like, no, I don't believe in AI. Use AI. Okay, it's crunching data that we humans can't see. And I personally didn't do SMMT. I saw that it was XGPT's number one play, but again, when they alerted it, it was down. It didn't really have that much good price action. And then when it did hit 310 the next trading day, I was in another play. And, this is what I'm saying, going back to the beginning of this video, like there's only so much I can do. I'm not trying to like whine about it. Like I'm grateful for all the opportunity. I'm grateful for all the students, but like, this is frankly why AI is better, because AI is not limited by time. It can look at multiple stocks. It can send out multiple alerts automatically. So in hindsight, yeah, I wish I had seen SMMT here, when it did trigger at 310. And, this was an interesting play because the goal, on XGPT and all my plays usually is to make 10, 20, 30%. I never say like, hey, I'm trying to make 100%, 200, 300%. I don't go for home runs. But SMMT, when it broke past 3, it actually got halted. And good news came out. And the funny thing is, like, you wouldn't have had a chance to sell it at the exit price of 4. It opened here at 8, and like within a minute it was 9, and it actually got all the way up to 11. And this was just like a week ago. It feels like an eternity ago. This was like 50 plays ago, but this was a week ago. And I'm so proud of so many of you who did nail this. It's my bad. I'm overwhelmed, but again, not an exact kind of overnight play for me. And you really had to be, watching it. But props to students like Sabrina. She was in at 3, out at 961. Second biggest trade of her career. And this is what I love, like there's only so much I can do. XGPT is helping. So I'll post a link to XGPT. I really think you guys should take advantage of it. But let's talk about these weekend plays that have come about, because I know I haven't done a video lesson in the past few days because I'm just losing my mind. Where should I start? I guess I'll start with, this was SMMT, by the way, right here when it broke above 3. And then you have that good news, and then the gap up. And it really hasn't done much since. So you really had to be in there ahead of time, and XGPT freaking nailed it. And there's going to be more plays like that. But I did nail BNED. This was Barnes & Noble. They're a terrible company, almost near bankrupt. But there's been rumors that they're reorganizing. And when those rumors hit, you got to take advantage of it. And, this was just $1,000 profit or so for me. But this was on a Friday afternoon. They had a news of a big new investor. And the big new investor had also written a whole, letter saying why, BNED should theoretically be worth so much more. So they're taking a bigger position with a thesis. They're an activist investor, so they want to try to take over the company. And any company that's priced towards bankruptcy that has an activist investor who could theoretically enhance shareholder value, that's going to spike, especially on a Friday afternoon. And this was alerted by Stocks to Trade Breaking News, another tool that you should have. I know some people are like, Tim, stop talking about different tools, but really trading is warfare, okay? This is a battlefield. And the more tools at your disposal, the better you're armed for battle, the better your odds of success, not just to survive, but to thrive. So I personally would not trade without XGPT. Sorry, some alert is going off. I personally would not trade without XGPT or without Stocks to Trade Breaking News. These are tools that aid me in finding the best plays. XGPT found SMMT, Stocks to Trade Breaking News found BNED. And, it's good to see the tools and have them alert, but, frankly, there's also knowledge required. So I saw the news, but then, BNED, when I saw the news, it was, where was it? It was right in, was it on the 17th? Yeah, it was on the 17th. It was already spiking. So the news came out here at 20 cents and I'm buying it in the 30s. Okay. And that's sometimes a chase. So some people say how do you know you're not chasing? Well, you don't know. Okay. But that's why you take a small position, and guess what? If it doesn't, spike big, especially on a Friday afternoon, because a lot of these deals that, when you have activist investors are done on a Monday or Tuesday. So if it doesn't keep spiking on this rumor that something's going to happen, if it doesn't keep spiking, you don't have to hold. That's the beautiful thing. You never have to hold any play longer than you want. Okay. I know there's this whole hodl thing and everyone believes in everybody else. Stop hodling. Stop believing in other people. You're in control of your trade. Okay. Never give up control to anybody. It's a sickness. In future years, hodling will be looked at as a disease. Mark my words. I know it's made money in crypto, blah, 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 blah. But giving up control and just believing in others, you're just destined for failure, okay? It is a path to failure in the long run. I would never give up control. I have seen too much crap over the years. No matter how much anybody makes in any crypto, it's almost inevitable that they're going to lose most or all of it, just because, not because I don't believe in crypto, but because I don't believe in giving up control. So when I'm buying a stock, if it doesn't finish strongly, I don't care what the news is. I don't care what anyone is saying on message boards. I will cut it. I will be out. Okay. But in this example, it just kept going. And the volume was insane and the price was insane. And so it actually, I'm buying it here in the 30s. Doesn't look like much in the grand scheme of things, given that it went all the way up to $1.35. So I underestimated it, but this was the beginning. Okay. And it went all the way up to 60. And I am very proud of the fact that I sold some here because, I had like a 25% gain in 15, 20 minutes. I tried to hold over the weekend. You guys have to understand the weekend newsletter. I always try to hold over the weekend, but if it's not closing strongly, I will cut losses. If it's closing too strongly, I will take some profits. That's just responsible trading. Okay. So yes, does it hurt my overall performance? Yes. But this is what I've done for 25 plus years. This is how I've made $7 million with lower risk, lower stress than people who have made more than me. But, they're very stressed out. Many top traders are very stressed and they take huge risks. I don't want that. So if you ever wonder, what am I going to do in a situation, especially when I say, let's see how far it could go, and it's just like a speculative trade, I'm going to take some into the close. But I didn't sell all. And this was, another 8 minutes later, and I'm just like, okay, this is crazy. Because, we don't know if a deal is going to get announced or not. And I'm just up so much. And this is best case scenario. So I sold the rest, didn't hold over the weekend, 40% plus profit before the close. So I know, weekend newsletter, come on, sites, hold till the next day. But look at how it did the next trading day, okay? This was on the 17th. This was on the 20th. What did it do? It got to the 30s and it was hanging around the 20s. So this sell around 60, again, over several days, it's bad. But in the interim, it's fantastic. And then it spiked up later as there was more rumors about the whole deal. And this is interesting because, you know, it's not good that I didn't do a video on it sooner. I'm sorry about that. But you can see how it ends up because there's been no deal. So all of that rumor mongering, all of the high hopes went to nothing. And now it's, you know, imagine believing the deal in the $1.50 range, and now it's down to 18 cents. No deal has materialized. So did I sell too soon? In hindsight, over like 5 days, yes. But over the past, 3 weeks now, no, not at all. And I don't care whether I get the top or not. I'm literally putting in 6,000 shares at 36 cents. So I'm putting in like a little over $2,000, $3,000, $2,500. And I get it. Many people, don't have $2,500. I'm not trying to minimize that. But to make $1,000 on like $2,500 is awesome. I don't care if I could have made another 2,000 or 3,000 5 days later. Next day, it would have been losses. So I don't have to go for the home runs. I don't want to go for the home runs, and I don't think that you should. And by the way, I should address this. I'm sorry. LIDR, this was on a Thursday. I literally thought this was a Friday. Just to help you understand how overwhelmed I am. Most of the plays are going to be on Friday, and I got my days mixed up. So that was like one of my worst losses in a while, and I literally just got my days mixed up. I just want to give you like my mindset of how overwhelmed I am. And it's a good thing, but it's still a problem. So aside from that, BNED was very, very meticulous. And then LIDR the next week, I have nothing against LIDR, but it tends to spike up big and then it comes down fast. So, this was here on the 21st and it was crazy because it closed right here like 380, 394-ish. And then after hours, in like 20 minutes, it went from basically 4-ish up to 560. And then no bounce, all the way back down to the 2s. So some of you were like, oh, I don't want to chase, I'll just buy the bounce. Well, how did that go for you? Okay. LIDR is the kind of play where you need to buy it for the short squeeze. And so the next Friday, where I had my day right, I said, I'm buying this recent runner on a dip off of its highs. A little bit, but it looked like it could run more. So this is very important. If you watch these stocks long enough, you'll see that they have characteristics. And the day that I bought it, it looked like it was going to run. Like it's kind of like a bipolar stock. It's kind of like Jekyll and Hyde, where, if it's running, even if you're buying it on a dip off its highs, it's probably going to spike again. And so that's what I thought. This was a little sooner. I know some people don't like me waiting to the last half hour or the last hour of the trading day. But on this one, I just thought that it could keep running and I wanted to get a little bit of a better entry just in case. Sometimes on the weekend plays, I'm looking for specific catalysts like BNED, new investor, the one that I'll go over for this week. They have a presentation next week. This one, I just recognized the short squeeze type price action. And so I was risking a little bit buying it midday. This was on May 24th, and it had already spiked, mind you. Okay, so when I say dip buying, I'm not like buying, okay, it's downtrending, it's dipping, and it's not bouncing. On the 24th, it had already started bouncing, and it had already, reclaimed this kind of level that it had lost. So 330s, 340s. This one day on the 23rd, it got down to the 260s, but it reclaimed this important level. And for me, this is kind of like a stair step, right? Like, this is a nice stairway, and then it just goes hockey stick, then it comes down, and then it loses a step right here. And then this is kind of a really good, didn't finish at the highs, but it's a good sign that it can reclaim it. And you can see here that it reclaimed it quite nicely all the way up to 5 the next trading day. Didn't get as big of a spike as this because this was just after hours, but this was pretty fantastic. And for me, I overthought this one completely. Like, I know some people are like, come on, Tim, just give me one buy on Friday, one sell on Monday. I'm always nitpicking. I'm over nitpicking. I'm over meticulous. Say whatever you want. That's fine. On this one, I definitely overthought it. But again, it's because I thought that it could squeeze all day. It did. I'm like averaging down. I'm averaging up. Like I just wasn't sure. But again, this is the beauty, and this is why I have the weekend newsletter. Some people are like, why do you even have the weekend newsletter if you're not going to hold over the weekend? Because it opens the door to holding over the weekend. With most of my newsletters, they're very quick. I don't want to hold over the weekend. I don't want to hold overnight. I don't like the overnight risk. With this one, I held some over the weekend, and I was rewarded, okay, into the fours. And even this one, I sold too early. I sold it pre-market because, like an hour later, it hit the high fours, and it actually even got to the fives. But when I'm judging short squeeze action, it's not exact, and I'm just glad to profit. Like, this is real trading, okay? I'm not one of these BS people in this industry where they're like, Joe R made $1,000. Oh, just buy at the low and sell at the high. It's so easy. No, okay? Every trade is unique. BNED, I nailed, sold too early over several days, if you look at it. But over the weekend, it was better to sell right when I did. I had the best sell possible that day. LIDR, I should have held over the weekend, and I should have held a little more. But again, I'm profiting on more times than not. Really, the only loss was when I got confused with Thursday and Friday because I was so jet lagged. But LIDR was a nice one. This was another one where I'm buying this midweek. Some people had problems with this. They're like, what are you doing, Tim? And I'm like, I know it's not the weekend on this one. But NNE at the time was just surging. And here the previous high was like 630. And you can see it got to 650, comes up to 720. And then it comes back here to 650. And I love this. Because just with basic technical analysis, if it's going to break out hugely, like it eventually did, it should theoretically, even if it dips back to support, it should hold that, right? Former resistance here in the 630, 640 level should act as support. And that's exactly what it did here into the close on the 29th. And again, I know this was midweek, but I'm looking for inefficiencies overnight, over the weekend. In this one, I said, rare midweek buy. Notice I know that it's not a Friday play, but this fast moving stock presenting at a major conference next week just broke the day high, and I think it can go to the 7s or the 8s. And this was just a really simple play, technical breakout with a catalyst, and I sold it pretty well. Not perfectly, because the next day, the morning spike went all the way to the 880s, and I sold it in here in the 7s. So an extra 20 minutes would have made me basically double. So not a perfect exit, but a pretty good entry and a pretty good exit. And so BNED was best case scenario. LIDR was pretty much worst case scenario where I just overthought it. And this was mid-range. So 3 different trades over 2.5 weeks. And you can see, 3 different results. All profits though, mind you, all nice profits, and some of them big. And then I was really proud of this one. This was last week's. I told you I'm overwhelmed. I'm trying to just catch up. GNPX, beautiful, beautiful runner right here. It had already spiked up. It had some positive news. They said they were going to present at a conference the next week. So it spiked up quite nicely, and then big volume bars here in the afternoon, and it breaks the day high here at 310, and it goes all the way up to 396, comes back down to 330, this time up to 4s, and then I think people just got it just got overextended and ahead of itself, and it came all the way back down to the 290s. There was no news that pushed it down $1 a share. It's just momentum buyers get ahead of themselves. Short squeezes happen. And so I actually dip bought this because I'm like, wow, this stock has already proved that it can spike fast. They're presenting at a conference next week, and I'm getting this gift of a good, lower priced entry. So for me, this was really a nice entry. And I said, I like the risk reward on this $1 a share dip off the highs. I'd love to see a 10, 20% bounce. And I'm sorry I have typos. Sometimes I have typos because I'm just typing so fast because the stocks move so fast. Like you can see here, my T button doesn't work. I say his biotech. I meant this biotech. And here I sold, like I'm typing so fast. So excuse the typos, but I want you to learn in real time. And so I bought this one on the dip here at $295. Again, I wanted to hold over the weekend, but here at $375, it actually hit 4 after hours. So I was unprepared for this. I had my limit. Usually I just put a limit order just in case it spikes big. I wasn't watching it, but my sell at 375 triggered. And so I had sold basically half my position at 375, and it was amazing. And again, in hindsight, I should have sold it all, but I wasn't even there for it. I just set the sell alert in case it hit it. And then someone was like, a few people were blowing me up in the chat room being like, oh my God, how did you know? I didn't know it was going to go back to 4. I just liked the risk reward on the big dip with the upcoming catalysts. And then interestingly, I did hold some over the weekend and it didn't do much. So selling here was actually amazing. I still profited, 10% on the overnight hold. That's just the market that we're in. But this was a really good trade because of my solid entry and because the stock gave me the opportunity. And now right now, so like these are just the past few weeks. That's why I'm like, I want you guys to understand how insane this market is right now. I know different people think about different things about the market, but for me, this strategy of these, tactical base hits is killing it. I'm not looking for multi-day hold swing trades. I know that strategy isn't doing that great right now in this market because it's so choppy. But if you're a sniper-like trader and you're looking to hold for a day or two, I think it's a fantastic market. This is my open trade right now on REPL, very similar to GNPX. They're presenting at a conference next week. An analyst upgraded the stock. The price target, I think, went from like 12 to 18. A little bit of a higher price stock, so I didn't go like too big, and it didn't offer me a great entry like GNPX. But I do think that it can go higher. And, this was the nice spike over the past 2 days. And I was trying to actually get it here in the 750s, and it was breaking out like into the close. So I paid up a little bit more at 768. Not the best entry. If I could go back in time, I probably should have put my limit at like 760 instead of trying to get 755, but it's just not that fast of a mover. So I didn't want to force it, but it closed pretty strongly. And I just had to take some profits because, when you already have your goals, which again, this isn't that aggressive of a play. I don't have a huge catalyst like BNED. I don't have a great entry like GNPX. We do have like a chart breakout, so it's similar to NNE. But it was just a lower volatility type play. So I sold half already, just locking in a few $100s in profits. And, we'll see if it can get further up, if it can break to the 8s. On this kind of a chart, you kind of have to look like further out, and it's not a really good long-term chart. But oftentimes gaps do fill. So I think that it could potentially get back to the 9s, and there should be some resistance here at right around 9. So still $1 a share of upside. Normally I don't like chasing these things, but you got the big analyst upgrade. You've got the CEO presentation next Tuesday. I'll be out on Monday 100%. I'm not going to hold through the conference or even wait till the conference. But I do think that the momentum can continue, and I'm just pushing it a little bit in this market because this strategy is so on fire. So again, congrats to so many of you. I'm sorry I can't message everybody. I'm so thoroughly overwhelmed. It's pretty cool to be real in an industry full of fakes. It's cool to be teaching in a time like this. It's cool to really, have a dead-on strategy right now. And I encourage you to look through all my trades. You'll see some are better than others, but I'm really trying to take the meat of the move. And, I'm in Italy right now. Like usually I come to Italy for like a slower summer, but this summer so far has just been absolutely crazy. I hope it slows down because I would like to regain a little sanity, but if it doesn't, so be it. I'm ready every week. I'll be ready for midweek plays. So just keep looking. I'll alert you based on what I see happening on Monday with REPL, but I think it's good to review recent trades, your wins, your losses, what you can do better. But the strategy is hot and the market is hot, so you'll see me pushing size. I'll be a little more aggressive in the next few days and weeks. let's see what we can do. Congrats to everybody. Again, also use XGPT and stocks to trade breaking news. I can only do so much. These automated tools really help. Cheers. I'll see you in chat.